Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, episode 29. We've gone 29 episodes so far of the mystery reviews, and you know what? We're going to keep at it. So, I gave the hints Orca and rubber teeth. And then I gave a final hint, a holiday roast. So, I know that one person in the chat, how you doing? Norris, good to see you. Epi the Oz, he got it right with musical note hints, which is actually the very two chords that are struck during the theme of this film. Good to see you, Epi. Oh, the roast. Yep, that's right. The pier scene. Exactly. So, yes, for those of you who are not aware, we are indeed reviewing the movie Jaws, a 1975 film directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Lorraine Gary, Murray Hamilton, and many others who are small bit actors in some areas, but also known in other areas. But those were the principal actors of the film. The film takes place in a fictional area called Amity Island. However, the film was filmed on Martha's Vineyard. The film primarily was filmed in Martha's Vineyard, I should say, but also took place out in the waves of the sea to also film the at-sea sequences. Now, this film is by no stretch perfect, but it is a psychological horror that has a lot of scare to it if you like psychological horrors back then. This is the movie that kept people out of the water. This is the movie that basically made people say, I will never go back in the water again after seeing this movie. I know my friend OMB Reviews, Odin from OMB Reviews, has seen this movie when he was younger and was traumatized from it. I'm sorry he got traumatized. But yes, this movie has a traumatic effect on some. And yes, actually, Epime the Oz is actually very much correct. This is the very first, the original summertime blockbuster. This was the very first movie to reach $100 million in the box office. That alone is awesome. I can't even play video games with water levels. Yeah. The flaws only add to its perfection. That is a good way of seeing it. Now, yes, this movie, or the score, is also psychologically unsettling. John Williams using mainly two notes and then jumping into a fantastic score for this film. This was before John Williams became famous for the Star Wars scores. This was 1975. This film was released. Now, the film starts with the score overlaying an underwater shot, a POV of a shark, as it will, and then cuts to a bunch of kids drinking on the beach, having fun, with which the first victim and the guy too drunk to get lucky decide to go swimming. The first attack, without being too graphic. Hold on 1 second, folks. Sorry, had to address my nephew. He wanted to know what I was doing. But anyway, the movie had a victim, Chrissy Hopkins. She went swimming. The guy who was going to get lucky with her, he was spared because he was too damn drunk to get his clothes off and get into the water. This film was not shy with the beginning nudity. I believe that if you pump up the contrast and whatnot and the brightness and whatnot, you'll actually see a full nude body in this movie. And the first pull down of the victim in the water, the very first tug of the woman underwater or in the water was actually done by Steven Spielberg himself. And then you get to the violent attack. Now, there's no blood in this first scene. There's just a lot of flailing and screaming. And this movie definitely sells the horror of this scene, or of this, the scene, and how she dies. And then we get, now one of the things that this movie kind of doesn't do well is the cuts to very different scenes, such as the cut from the underwater to just cutting out or cutting into the beach with all the kids singing and whatnot and drinking and whatnot. It would have been, in my opinion, it would have been better to kind of fade into it instead of just cut to it, you know? Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And this movie does kind of lose objective value as well a little bit because of jarring cuts, so to speak. So we then get introduced to Roy Scheider, Lorraine Gary's Chief, and Ellen Brody. He is the chief of this island, the chief of police. He is from originally New York City, and he is learning to be a small town chief, you know? Well, then we get the call, or then he gets the call, and he gets to the beach talking to the drunk that passed out, the kid that passed out drunk. Transitions were abrupt but added to the tension overall, I'd argue. So I'll choose to forgive them. Yeah, I mean, they're still good. The movie is still good, don't get me wrong. However, jarring cuts can be, jarring, you know? So when we get to the beach and we see the reaction from Hendricks, the deputy, where he's blowing the whistle to get the chief there, and then he is just totally distraught. Then you see the remains of the girl, her hair, a piece of her arm, and the crabs are just chewing on it, nibbling at it and whatnot. It's very suggestive, but you don't see a lot of the gore, but it is suggestive enough that you know what is going on and you know what they found. Now, when it comes to him writing down the coroner's report and how the probable cause of death is a shark attack, that is also something where they basically show a full screen shark attack, him typing it out, and you know that you might have a problem there, you know? Well, then the politicians get involved. The mayor, the city ordinance inspector, public relations, the coroner himself, who actually told him it is probably a shark attack that did this. Well, he tells his deputy to work on the no swimming signs or the beach is closed, no swimming signs because, they never had any really. And then he's like, let Polly do the printing. What's wrong with my printing? Let Polly do the printing. And my niece is upset. But anyway, so the politicians basically tell him it could have been a boating accident. We're going to have to amend our reports. You yell barracuda, people are like, huh, what? You yell shark, and we got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July. This is a summer down, we need summer dollars. Basically, the economy requires them to make all their money during tourist season so that they can make ends meet during the winter, during the off season. And so the next attack then is at the beach. It's like the next day or a couple days later. And the funny thing is, the first girl, Chrissy, and the second victim, Alex Kittner, who is killed by the shark during this scene, his death is marked as June 29th. and hers is July 1st. So that tells you something weird. Time travel in a 1975 film. I've seen this movie. It's the one with the big fish, isn't it? Yep, it is. A lot of boating accidents in this movie. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, so yes, we get to the scene where he goes out on a raft, and this goes to the actual possible mistaken identity clause of a shark, where a shark can mistake a person on a raft or a tube or a surfboard for its natural prey, which are seals. And if it bites and gets a hold of something bloody and chewy and soft, well, it's going to keep biting. Now, Brody knows that there may be, or it was a shark attack. His gut instinct is there. Also, during the scene before the shark attack, the dog that goes missing is named Tippett in the film, after Phil Tippett, a famous creature designer at the time. He is responsible for many creature designs in movies such as Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and so many others. And now he is a movie director. He also used to be a special effects supervisor. So we get to the attack, and kids are getting out of the water, but the mother of Alex cannot find him. She just sees the shredded raft that he went on. So then we get to the town meeting where the people are frightened. There is a reward for $3,000 for the shark. And the people are like, "Are you going to close the beaches, Chief? What about the beaches? Are you going to close the beaches?" Yes, we're going to close the beaches. There's fucking loss of life. Now, this movie is 2 hours long. However, the pacing of this film is actually very even, and it is actually very good. Now, hold on one second, folks. I gotta check on my niece. Sorry about that, folks. You will probably hear her in the background as we go on, but it's unfortunately is what it is. So, a bit of tape and that raft will be fine. Jesus Christ. That they had to censor the Kittner death, didn't they? Was too brutal for early audiences. Yes, they actually did censor it, but they eventually did release the full version. I do remember that being a thing. Not during the time of the movie's release, but I do remember hearing about it because I was not born yet. I was born 10 years after this movie was made. So yes, they are discussing it, and then you hear the nails on the chalkboard, which was Quint's introduction to this film. You all know me. You know how I make a living. This fish, swallow you whole. And that he basically makes his proposal. He's like, "Now, I value my neck at more than just $3,000, Chief. I'll find him for $3, but I'll catch him and kill him for $10. Now, you all have a lot of thinking to do. You want to ante up or be smart and ante up? Or you want to bring back the tourists, or you'll be on welfare the whole winter. He basically tells it to him straight. Thank you, Mr. Quint. We'll take it under advisement. Chief, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. And he just leaves with his mate and, his dog. He has a little shit fucking poodle looking thing. Or miniature, like, I don't know, one of those little shit dogs. It was funny. Lovely Sherry. Oh, my God. It is lovely to see you. It is always lovely to see the lovely Sherry. So, yes. We then get to the next scene where the beaches are then shown to be closed, and Brody is going through the shark book. And then Ellen comes in, scares the hell out of him, and he's talking about the sharks and whatnot, and they see that their son Michael is out in his boat that he got for his birthday. And he tells him, get out of the boat. And he's like, I don't want him on the ocean. He's not on the ocean. He's in a boat. He's not going to, I don't think he'll ever go in the water after what happened yesterday. Well, don't say that. I just want him to read the rules, before he goes out on his own. And she starts looking at the book, and she sees how the shark can knock a person out of the water, or into the water and out of a boat just by ramming into it, So her changing her mind is like, Michael, did you hear your father? Out of the water now. No. And it is just, and freaking Brody just looks at her. He's like, what the fuck? Kind of like, wait, what? It was just so great. And then we get the two fishermen using, or one of them's name is Charlie, and I can't remember the other one's name, but he took his wife's holiday roast. And they hook it up to a huge hook and chain to try to catch the shark. Now, they actually do get the damn shark to bite. The only problem is the length of this chain in this film. This is where there is a huge error in the film. And one of these, or if you look at this film logically, which is a mistake, if you turn your brain off, it's a great movie. However, objectively, there are problems. The chain length is one of them, because you see how much he takes that chain out before he tears the pier right off. And you then see it turn around and start going after him. Well, here's the thing. Considering how long that chain was, that shark would have beached itself. Considering how big Bruce is. The shark was affectionately named Bruce. So, we then get to the day after, where Hooper arrives because Chief Brody called people from the Oceanographic Institute, and having shark spotters, they're basically taking every precaution they can for the 4th of July. So, yes, when we get to Ben Gardner and the other people who are going out and fishing, and you see Ben Gardner out there, well, he's talking about, wait till we get them into the showers, boys, and hit those rocks. They'll wish their mothers have never met their fathers. And, oh, yeah, they'll just wait just till they get to those rocks. And then they cut to a wider shot, and you actually see camera crews in with those boats. You see the camera crews in with those boats. And it's like, oh, shit, really? Unless momentum carried it to the shore, which is what I'll tell myself to preserve the movie magic. Yes, but still, the momentum would have taken a lot more momentum. Subhuman, good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. We are reviewing Jaws. So, I also like how Hooper then meets Brody, and Hooper's glasses are the most inconsistent in this film. He has different glasses. One's where the arms and the rims of the glasses are up here, and then others where they're down to the side. And they're really freaking odd glasses, let me just tell you. It's like he has magic glasses. So we then get to the examination of the girl, where they are investigating the remains. And he's like, possible boating accident. And he sees just how small the case is, and he starts recording. And then he pulls back the sheet, and he's like, "Can I have a glass of water, please?" That is just great acting there, where he's like, and he's going over the report that this has, or that this is most like, or that this is a shark. And he's like, "Well, this was no boating accident." And you see the dude, or you see the coroner basically going, or hugging that folder really tight and looking completely ashamed. And he's like, "This was no boating accident. It was no propeller. It was no coral reef. And it wasn't Jack the Ripper." And he splashes water on his face and he says, "It's a shark." And then we cut to a shark getting its mouth opened. It was a tiger shark. And they think that the killer shark had finally been caught. Well, you also see Quint in the background coming back into the water, or coming back into shore. And he's looking at these fools with their huge, or with their big ass tiger shark. And he's like, he's just smiling. He's like, these idiots, they don't got shit. And they're like, "What kind of shark is it?" And they're trying to get the publicity going. They have the chief there. They have Hooper there. They have the mayor there. They're getting plenty of pictures so that they can get a picture for the paper to say that the killer shark had been caught. Well, here's the thing. Hooper measures its bite radius, and then he hears the people asking. He's like, "What kind of shark is it?" "I don't know. It could be a Mako or a Mako shark, which is the fastest shark in the ocean." And they're like, "No, what kind? What kind?" "It's a tiger shark." "A what?" I just love that. "A what? What's this bite radius crap, man? You stick your head in there and see if it's a man-eater." And they're all threatening to beat the shit out of him because they don't, or they want their freaking money because they just caught the damn shark, you know? So then he goes talking to him, and he's like, "Martin," or they get introduced, or he gets introduced to the mayor, and he's like, "We got a problem here." He's like, "There's no other kind of shark in there, or in these waters." He's like, "It's 100 to 1. The bite, or it probably is, Martin. It probably is. It's rare for these waters. It's a man-eater. It's known to attack people. But the problem is the bite radius on this animal is different from the wounds on the victim." Now, the solution is very simple. The digestive system is very slow. Let's cut it open. Whatever has been in there for the last 24 hours is bound to still be in there. And then we will know for sure. You want to be sure. We all want to be sure. Well, then the mayor's like, "Let's be reasonable. This is neither time nor place to cut open or do some half-assed autopsy on a fish." And then he tells him, "I'm not about to see that thing cut open and see that little Kittner kid spill out all over the dock." And it looks like we have another damn bot in the damn chat, folks. So if there's anybody who is an admin in the chat, hide this person's comment and hide them from the channel. I'm sick of these goddamn bots. I don't know how the hell they got to my channel, but it seems that there's a fucking epidemic on YouTube with bots in the goddamn chat. So we then see the mayor be like, "And I'm not about to see that thing cut open and see this little Kittner kid spill out all over the dock." Well, we then see Alex Kittner's mom coming in, where she is wearing black. She's in her mourning getup, MOURNING, mourning. You are mourning a loved one. And she asks, or she's like, "Chief Brody?" "Yes." And then she slaps him. "I just heard that a young girl was killed the other day. And you knew it. You knew there was a shark out there. You knew it was dangerous. And you let people go swimming anyway. And now my boy is dead." Mm-hmm. "Now my boy is dead, and I just wanted you to know that." And so, yeah, he's kind of broken up about it. And he's also, or the mayor tries to console him. He's like, I'm sorry, Martin, she's wrong. No, she's not. He knew it, or that it was very simple. No, he's not. No, she's not. She's not wrong. But I didn't tell her that you guys told me to amend the damn report, so I saved your asses also. Well, that, or he didn't say that to him, but that does come to bite them in the ass later. So we then get to the Brody where he's talking with, or where he's at the table. He's under stress because of all the stuff that's happening. And Hooper shows up after he does a nice little gestures with his son, and his son is copying him. Now, there's a lot of miscontinuity in the later films, especially Jaws of Revenge, because it is Sean Brody, the youngest, who is making or is copying the gestures. It's not Michael Brody, which in Jaws of Revenge, it was Michael who, or it was reported that Michael was the one doing the mimicking. Sorry, folks. Anyway, we then get to Hooper coming in. Now, a funny thing about the book, this movie is based off of a book by Peter Benchley. Hooper and Ellen Brody end up having an affair behind the Chief's back. It's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. That is like, that makes Hooper the scummiest man on earth, you know? Oh, God. Really? Hooper, this was no boating accident. It was no propeller. It was no coral reef. And it was no Jack the Ripper. It was Harvey Weinstein. Oh, my God, dude. Seriously. Jaws 4 would have been the perfect review for this time of the year, since it's technically a Christmas movie. Yes, technically it is. However, that movie is just so bad. It is just god-awful. A great white in the tropics, and a great white with a vendetta of previous generations past. So yeah, it didn't make any sense. And I'm back. Sorry about that, folks. I had to check on the kids. And unfortunately, my niece caught me because she was being quiet, and I was wondering why. So, yes. Where were we? Oh, yes. There are so many great scenes. Now, there is a deleted scene I will actually talk about now, where Quinn is coming in for supplies at the music store, of all places. And there's this boy who's playing there's a boy who's actually playing a clarinet or something. And he's playing it, and he's trying to play Joyful, Joyful. Well, Quint is listening, and he's toning to it, and then he's going, and then the kid starts playing off key, and so he's like, ba 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 ba, 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 ba. And the kid stops playing, and he's like, he just looks around to see what is going on. Why did the kid stop playing, you know? It is a fun deleted scene, but it really is good for hilarity. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. Just had to reassure somebody. So yes, so bad it's good. I think you mean yeah. That's one way of thinking about or seeing it. But yeah, I honestly had no or not much of a problem. But from a reviewer standpoint, Jaws: The Revenge is just bad. So we then get to the next scene where Hooper's talking with Brody and his wife, and then they end up going to autopsy the fish, the tiger shark, and they cut it open. They toss a fish head, a full fish, a little or a couple other things, and then he's like, just what I thought. Came up the Gulf Stream in the southern waters, and then he throws a fucking license plate out of this fish. Louisiana 007 98I. It is a very famous license plate. It has been seen in another movie called Deep Blue Sea. So he then comes back and he's like, or you didn't need a car, did he? No, tiger sharks are like trash cans. They'll eat anything. Somebody probably threw that in the river. And so he comes back afterward and he's like, that's it. We're going to have to close the beach, call the mayor. You're going to have to do a hell of a lot more than that, Martin. You still got one hell of a fish out there with a bite or with a mouth about this big. How do we confirm that by morning? Well, if there's any truth to territoriality at all, we have a good chance of catching him in certain areas. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm going to find him right now. He's in the theater. He's like, yeah, but I'm not drunk enough to go out into a boat. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I can't do that. Yes, you can. And so they're out and with freaking Hooper's big ass freaking boat listening to sorts of stuff. And you find out Hooper's actually rich. He's like, oh, yeah, how much? He's like, well, personally or the whole family? I don't get it. They pay somebody like you to go or look for sharks? And he's like, well, it doesn't make sense for a person who hates the water to live on an island. It's only an island if you look at it from the water. That makes a lot of sense. So, yes, the number plate, the tin can, yep. Tim Talk, good to see you. Back and forth. Yeah. Freaking Chief Brody is drunk as a skunk on that freaking boat. He's like, and so they actually see Ben Gardner's boat. Well, it's torn up. Now, another logic problem with this film is that when he goes down and sees the tooth before Ben Gardner's eyeless or missing eye comes out and whatnot, well, that tooth is kind of really niched in there, and it's upward, or it's being held in there by the root. If a shark attacked that boat, from a reviewer standpoint, objective standpoint, that shark's tooth would have been tooth inward, not tooth outward, you know? And yes, it is the first jump scare of the film where you see freaking Ben Gardner just pop out and scare the hell out of Richard Dreyfuss. Now, Deep Blue Sea did not help with my fear of sharks in water. Yeah, mako sharks that are smarter than humans. Oh man, the dialogue he bent back and forth is what makes this movie. It's a lost art these days. You're damn right, Epime. You're damn right. Robert Shaw has to be the top 10 greatest actors of all time, and Jaws in particular gives a great argument to even put him in the top 3. That's almost agreeable, actually. I think the scene from Jaws Revenge is more about the mother reflecting on that moment between Sean and his father. From her perspective, it's family she's lost being represented in the family she has. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. And yes, we will get to that because I have a funny story to tell you guys today, or about earlier today, where yes, Deep Blue Sea, yeah. So unless it came loose and the top jaw pushed the tooth down into the boat upside down, I will defend the inconsistencies of Jaws to the end. You actually do make some logical points, though. But there are some things that you won't be able to. So, we then get Mayor Vaughn being talked to by Brody and Hooper, and he tells him that apparently a great white has staked a claim off the shores of Amity Island. And they're trying to they tell him that Ben Gardner's boat got hauled in, and how they pulled a tooth the size of a shot glass out of a wrecked hull of a boat out there, and it was the tooth of a great white. He's like, "Where is that tooth? Did you see it, Brody?" "No, I didn't see it. He lost it on the way. I had an accident." "But you don't have the tooth. Look, we depend on the summers for our very lives. If you close those beaches, we're finished. You are not going to have a summer if you don't deal with this problem." Hooper is getting up in the mayor's face, basically telling him, "Look, you have to freaking listen. You do not understand what is wrong or what is going on here. There's a time to put aside your pride and put aside your lust for an economy and think about safety. Yeah, it sucks. You'll lose money, but guess what? At least people won't be dying. You'll lose a lot more money because of wrongful death lawsuits than you will of an economy, you know?" So then we see that the sign of Amity Island has been defaced. And you see freaking Vaughn, he's like, "That's it." Or he's like, "Sick vandalism. Now I want those paint happy bastards caught and hung up by their Buster Browns." And he's like, "That's it. Goodbye. I'm not going to stand here arguing with somebody lining up to be a hot lunch. I'll see you later." He's like, "No, man. Oh, fine. Mr. Vaughn, what we have here is a perfect animal, a miracle of evolution, an eating machine, or a perfect machine. All this machine does is eat and sleep and make little sharks, or eat and swim and make little sharks. It really is truly fascinating." He's like, "Now I want you to take a long look at this sign. Those proportions are correct. Love to prove that, wouldn't you? Get your name in the National Geographic." And so the chief makes one final plea. He's like, "Larry, if we fix this now, we might be able to save August." "August? For Christ's sake, tomorrow's the 4th of July. And he's like, and he tells him, he's like, "Now you two do what you have to keep those beaches open, but those beaches will be opened for this weekend." Well, the prep is amazing. So we get to the prep because the chief looks at Hooper and Hooper looks at Brody, and they're just freaking calling everybody to try to get more people down here and whatnot. It is just absolutely funny. You see freaking Sean trying to get his dad's attention. Dad, what? Dad, he's a little guy with a crew cut." It's like, wow. And during this time, apparently, Quint's second hand is actually quitting because in a deleted scene, he actually quits. "Hey there, Ruff. Good to see you, babe." Or, yeah. So, yes, the pond scene was another one that had to be toned down due to gore. Yes. And I will actually get that because there is another deleted scene that actually goes there. So we then get to the beach where you actually see Peter Benchley make a cameo in this film where he is in the he's the news reporter. A shadow has rocked this community, a shadow in the shape of a killer shark. And then you hear Mayor Vaughn basically adding to alleviating the suspicions and the sadness and whatnot. I'm happy to report that we have caught and killed a large predator that apparently injured some bathers. But as you can see, the beaches are open, the people are happy, and or everything's safe, and the people are having a wonderful time. Amity, as you know, means friendship. Mm-hmm. And he sees that nobody's going into the water, so he tells one of his friends to get in the freaking water. He's like, nobody's going in. Please, get in the water. And then you see how creeped out they are with the grandkids swimming in the water. You got a bunch of freaking boats out in the water. You got freaking helicopters. And you can see just how pissed off Mayor Vaughn is. And it's just great. And then we get the false alarm with the kids. And the kids with a rubber fin. They pull them out of the water, and then you see one of the lifeguards talking about how there's a shark in the estuary or in the pond. And holy crap, yeah. So, yes, I know. And the reporter would be the author of the book for anyone who didn't catch it. Yes, I did report on that, or I did talk about that. So, yes, the pond scene had Michael with his boat and his friends, including the mayor's kid, go out there, and, well, the great white tips over the lifeguard's boat. Now, if you notice, the lifeguard has no shoes on. He's barefoot. Epime, I'd love to see how you explain how there's a tennis shoe on the severed leg that got bit off of this individual when he was barefoot. But also, they did have a deleted scene or an alternate scene of the scene where Bruce, the shark, grabs the guy, and the guy in his panic grabs Michael. And he's just gouting blood out of his mouth as he's getting ripped to pieces. And he then lets go of Michael, and Michael then goes and shot that way. But yes, the pond scene was another scene that had to be toned down due to gore. Funny to think this movie had test audiences hyperventilating. Yeah, that is pretty nuts. So, yes, we see that happen, and we see Michael get pulled out of the water, and he's in shock. And then we see Brody looking out at the water, and it's like, this can't be denied now. So at the hospital, Michael is getting treated for shock. And then you see Chief Brody look at the mayor, and he goes right up to the mayor. Now, this really dates the film. The leg was from an earlier victim. He kept that leg as a toothpick for removing leg. Jesus Christ, dude. Seriously? That is way too freaking much hard. It could have happened. Nope. That's one mistake you can't frickin' dispute. So, yes. He goes up and you see the mayor smoking in a hospital, which you can't do that anymore. Really dates the film, doesn't it? So he's like, truly sorry, Martin, truly sorry. You got a pen, Larry? A pen? Yeah, a pen, it's just what you sign things with. And he pulls him aside, and he's like, you're going to hire Quint. And freaking mayor's like, August, what? Larry, the summer's over. You're the mayor of Shark City. People think you want the beaches open. I was just acting in the town's best interest. Yes, you were acting in the town's best interest. Now you're going to sign this and pay that man what he wants. We're going to hire Quint to kill the shark. And he's like, Martin, my kids were on that beach too. Sign it, Larry. So he signs it, and he goes and cuts to Brody talking with Quint. He's like, get the mayor off my back. No more of this zoning crap. $10,000 a day, whether I find him or not. And he's just making all sorts of fucking insane requests. And then we get Hooper meeting Quint. And he's like, you're going to need an extra hand. He's like, this is Matt Hooper. I know who he is. I've cured 3 transplants. An American Cub Scout trial. He's like, Hooper, I'm not talking about pleasure boating for a living. I'm talking about working for a living. I'm talking about sharking. Well, I'm not talking about hooking support dogfish or sand shark. I'm talking about finding a great white. Parkers. Talking about parkers, Mr. Hooper. Just tie me a sheep shank. And so he ties him in a knot, and he's like, you didn't tell me how short you want it. How's that? So then he gets the hands, or he's like, give me your hands. Dogfish. Now you got $3,000 net. You got $5,000 worth of fish in it. And along comes Mr. Whitey. Or no, $5,000 net, $3,000 worth of fish in it. And now along comes Mr. Whitey. And once he's done with that net, looks like a kitty paper. Or little kitty cut it up with a paper, or into a paper doll. You got city hands, Mr. Hooper. You've been counting money all your life. And he calls him out on it. He's like, yeah, I don't need this. I don't need this working class hero crap. It's like, dude, no. You have girly hands. You need to pump iron. You have girly hands. You need to pump iron. Glad the town learns nothing between now and the start of Jaws 2, right? Fucking right? So he's like, I'll take it for ballast, Chief. So just extra weight, basically. And so then, yeah, we get to the preparations for setting out, and he's like, what is that? Some kind of half-assed astronaut? Because he's going through all of Hooper's going through all of his equipment. Then you see fucking Quint just cackling at him. He's like, it's just so fucking hilarious. Robert Shaw has the freaking funniest cackle, man. I swear to God. So then the chief is talking with his wife and how she's being the ever-loving wife, making sure everything is right for him. And he's like, don't use the fireplace in dinner because I haven't fixed that yet. What am I supposed to tell the kids? Tell them I'm going fishing. And before that, he's like, what do you got here? Portable shower or a monkey cage? Anti-shark cage. Anti-shark cage. Cage goes in the water. You go in the water. Shark's in the water. Our shark. And then he sings farewell and adieu. And farewell and adieu to you, fair Spanish ladies. That one. Now here's the funny story, folks, that I was going to tell you. I sing that song and Show Me the Way to Go Home that they sing later to my niece to get her to calm down and go to sleep for her nap. When they sang these songs in this movie, I was watching it earlier today. She was walking by. When he started singing that, her head spun right around and she just started laughing. She got up in my lap and she went straight to sleep. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Yep. Jack of all casuals. Good to see you. Quentin Hooper barely had to act at this point. The chemistry was so volatile on and off screen between them. Yes, that is indeed true. These two did not have to act with their animosity because they truly hated each other. Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss. And yes, and so yes. So then you also see after they get out there, before Ellen leaves, he drops the story of the body of Mary Lee. It's a small little poem. Here lies the body of Mary Lee, died at the age of 103. For 15 years, she kept her virginity. Not a bad record for this vicinity. Well, then Ellen Brody just turns around, just runs right out of there because she just can't stand it. The man. Now, he is hilariously sexist. Frickin' Robert Shaw's character in this movie is just hilariously what people would now consider sexist. And he's like, hey, Chief, see you got your rubbers. And he's doing all the sailor ship or all the sailor jokes out there, you know? And he's like, they may hate you going out, but they'll sure love you coming in. And he's just dropping every single freaking line out there, and he's laughing on the way out and whatnot. And so we get to them looking for the shark, hunting on the ship called the Orca, which was one of the clues. A lot of people thought I was talking about Free Willy with rubber teeth and Orca as the clues. No. When they were, or all of the killer whale shots in that movie were either animatronic puppets or real freaking orcas. So, yeah. So, this movie does really good acting with Roy Scheider playing a Chief Brody very well as someone who's trying to get his sea legs and who's using freaking Old Spice clone, tossing out chum. He's like, who's driving this boat? Nobody, the tide. And it's just so freaking great, man. The stress of the hunt really shows, mostly because of the arduous task of filming at sea. You could see that these actors are fucking miserable. And it truly helps the scene because of it. There was a scene where they had to halt shooting, and they're pulling in all the actors and whatnot so that the boat doesn't go down too much. And then you see another, the prop department is like, fuck the actors, save the prop department, because all of their equipment is on a boat that's also sinking. And Steven Spielberg was talking about it. It's fucking hilarious. I nearly shit myself laughing one time when I first heard it. So Quint uses piano wire. And that was why they had the deleted scene of him at the music store where he's getting number 12 piano wire. And we get the first nibble on the line where he is, or where he's getting ready to get, or he gets giant hook while Hooper and Brody are trying to hold the line and whatnot. And he's like, hey, Quint, let it go. He's like, Hooper, you may be a big Yahoo back in the lab, but out here you're just supercargo. You don't want to backstroke home. Get your butt down here. He's like, all right, you don't want to listen to me? Don't listen to me. It's not a shark. It's probably a marlin or a stingray or tuna, but it's definitely a game fish. And this line snaps. And he's like, marlin, huh? Gaming fish, eh? Marlin, stingray? Don't you tell me or snap this piano wire? Don't you tell me my business again. Quint, doesn't prove a damn thing. Well, it proves one thing, Mr. Hooper. It proves that you wealthy college boys don't have the education to admit when you're wrong. So, yeah. And then you see Hooper go. And then he's like making faces, gets up on the, up to steer the boat. And freaking Chief is talking with Quint, and he's like, I'm not going to haul him in like a bunch of catfish. I like to trick him to the surface. Then I jab at him. Hooper, full throttle now. It's 12 minutes southeast. Arr, sir, aye, Jim boy, arr. Hooper, full throttle. I don't have to take this abuse much longer. It's just fucking, or Richard Dreyfuss is just so pissed off at this moment. Now, during this whole scene, there's the part where they cut in and you see Quint yell, Hooper, starboard, ain't you watching it? Now, at this point, I remember in the special features where Richard Dreyfuss is telling the story, where Robert Shaw is so sick and he is in so much pain, but he's a professional, so he's doing his job. And so he's going like this, trying to sit back into that chair, getting ready for the shot. He's like, and then they yell they yell action, and he just turns, Hooper, starboard, ain't you watching it? Shocked the hell out of everybody. Hey, memes of destruction, good to see you. Yes, that actually comes later, and yes, we are doing the Jaws review. So we then get to the hold on one second. So, yes. Then we get the chum line going again, and he's like, let Hooper take a turn. Hooper drives the boat, Chief. So he's like, Hooper, quit playing with yourself, Hooper. Slow it ahead, if you please. Hey, you heard him. Slow it ahead. Slow it ahead. I can go slow it ahead. Try coming down to chumming some of this shit. And you end up seeing him throw chunks all over Bruce. And Bruce, as Bruce pops out, and he backs out, and he's like, you're going to need a bigger boat. Yes. That is one of the most quotable lines in cinema history. Now, Patriots motto, do your job. I hate the Patriots, just saying. Why don't you come down here and chum some of this shit? Exactly. It is good to see you, memes. So then we get to freaking Quint trying to get his gun ready for the barrels and stuff. And the Amity Light Station radios into the Orca. And Quint answers. I got Ellen Brody here. Put her on. Yeah, we haven't seen anything, Miss Brody. Your husband's fishing right now. He caught a couple of stripers. We're going to bring him in for dinner. We haven't seen anything. Over and out. Click. And they're trying to get in. He's like, and freaking Hooper is telling Martin that he wants some foreground to give him some scale. And freaking Brody's, he's like, would you go to the end of the pulpit, please? Why? Would you go to the end of the pulpit? What for? I need something in this foreground to give it some scale. Foreground my ass. I'm not staying out here. It's just fucking hilarious. So he's going to head to the back of the boat when Quint comes out with his spear gun. And then you see freaking Martin turn right back around. I mean, this scene where you see, or where they all react to the size of this shark is like, shit, that's 20-footer, 25, 3 tons of him. And you actually see the full-bodied shark or the full puppeteer of Bruce. And then there's also some shots later where you see only half the body of the shark, which is weird. But anyway. We then get the setting up of the barrels and Hooper looking at the camera after Bruce goes down with one barrel. And he just looks up. He's just so fucking miserable at this point. You could tell that the misery of shooting this movie is just etched all over Richard Dreyfuss's face. The way that he just looks at the camera, he's like, oh. And they do it more than once, too. 25 feet, that's a big one. Yep. And 20 is the largest we've recorded in real life. Actually, 22 feet is the largest record for a great white, I believe. So it's not too much of a stretch that this shark could have been that big. We actually do have a shark out there. Her name is Deep Blue, and she is a fucking massive great white. So we then get the comparison of scars after they say, well, what are we doing? We're calling it quits, right? We got 2 barrels on, or we got a barrel on him, so we're going to wait or stay out here until we find him again. Well, why don't we call in and get a bigger boat and whatnot? So we then get the comparison of scars. And they're like, Hooper and hey buddy, what's up? I'm just doing my stream, see? This is my nephew Ryan. Wave hi to him. Can you wave hi? There, come up here for a second. There. Wave hi. Say hi. This is my nephew Ryan. He's the 3-year-old, where Zoe's the 1-year-old. So yep. This is what Uncle Dan does. Mm-hmm. He does the YouTube-y. Yeah. He does shows like your buddy, the Outer Middle Show. Yeah. All right. So you want to go in the other room, play with Mom and Sissy?
I gotta go fit up there.
Okay. Well, if you want to stay and watch, you can. Okay. You want to stay in here? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna keep on. Well, we'll have my nephew here join the stream. Okay. So I think Deep Blue was only 20 feet as well, wasn't she? That you'd actually have to ask. Well, Epi, she was actually seen in Australia last, I believe. I love the reactions to the Australian media when they saw her. I am never going back into the water again. Yeah, stuff summer. They found a bigger one than Deep Blue, longer. Deep Blue, yeah. Deep Blue is probably heavier by bulk. The reason why she looked so heavy at the time in those videos was because she was pregnant. Deep Blue is a female. Oh, she's going to be grown. She's nearly 23 feet by now. Yep, about that. Most likely, Deep Blue will actually take the record for the largest great white on record. So then we get to the singing, where they're going over the scars, and he's like, "What's that one on your arm?" He's like, "Oh, that's just a tattoo. I had that removed." Don't tell me, mother. And then they're drunk, so they're laughing their asses off. He's like, "Hooper, that's the USS Indianapolis." Talk about a sobering moment when he mentions the Indianapolis. He's like, "You were on the Indianapolis? What happened?"
Your prayer.
Yeah, this is mommy's computer.
Your prayer.
And this is my computer.
Why?
Because I use my computer.
Yeah, Mama uses.
And Mama uses hers. That's right.
Yeah.
And so he tells him the story of the Indianapolis. Now, what they did get wrong, there are errors of the story of the Indianapolis. He tells him that it was secret and that there had been no distress signals. Well, it is on record that distress signals were sent from the Indianapolis while it was attacked. I got it. Okay,
Mom.
Time to go to bed, buddy. Have a good night. Say bye-bye, everyone. Say bye-bye to everyone.
Bye.
Okay.
I don't want my show.
Alrighty, but anyway, he's a cutie, isn't he? So, yes. He's talking about the Indianapolis, and now it is on record from survivors of the Indianapolis how 1,100 went in, 316 went out. Now, the story goes that he tells it June 29th, 1945. Well, it was actually July 29th where the Indianapolis was attacked, but it was sank July 30th. It actually was close to midnight when the attack happened, and it sank after midnight on June 30th, 1945. But the way he tells it, it was June 29th, 1945, which is an error. But the way that he tells it is so haunting. He tells it in such a way that you believe he was there. A movie a few years back was atrocious. I think it had Nicolas Cage. I didn't know that they actually made a movie about the Indianapolis. 1,100 men went into the water. Sharks in the water. I'll never put on a life vest or life jacket again. Yes. There's a Shark Week documentary called Ocean of Fear about this event. Yes, there is. I did see that. It was during the 25th anniversary of Jaws. And in 4 years, night-night, buddy. See you tomorrow. Night-night. See you soon. So, yes, they made a few and older black and white ones were good. Yes. But yes, we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of Jaws. Actually, 2025 is when Jaws will be 50 years old.
Bye, buddy.
So, after he tells the story about it, they start singing "Show Me the Way to Go Home." You know, the two songs. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. And when they started singing that, my niece also reacted to that as well. And then, because she woke up shortly after, and then went right back under to that one. So, Then we get to Bruce attacking the boat, where he's coming back. You see the blinker that Hooper put on the barrel. And then he just starts bumping into the boat, smacking it. Now, here's the thing, folks. When you see a great white pushing into a boat, you do not get it at the rhythm of boom, 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 boom. Not like that. It's not consecutive like that. Because sharks, they can't swim backwards and go forwards and backwards and forwards like that. That just doesn't, it's not part of their anatomy. That makes it quite impossible for them to do that. So it would have been boom, and then swim around, come back again, smack it again. It would have been, but in order for the movie to sell its frightening effect, they did it like that. And so you see Quint get up there with his freaking World War II rifle, start shooting at the damn shark. He's like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Don't waste your time, Quint. Come on." And you see Martin freaking out, so he grabs his handgun and he's hiding it. He's like a little ashamed that he brought a gun on board. And then you hear Hooper. He's like, "You okay, Martin? You okay?" But you also see the shooting star go or whiz across the screen behind Martin's head. Now, that was such a cool shot that they actually decided to add a second shot. The first one was real. The first shooting star is actually quite real. But the second one is a fake one, and you can actually tell the difference when you see the two different shots. And yes, that shooting star is amazing. But yes, in post-production, they actually added a second shooting star when they did the wide shot of the Orca. So, yes, I sing that to my niece, and she absolutely loves it. And when she heard it being sang by the three sharkers, oh God, she loved it. Bruce Almighty, I'll see myself out. No, I'm talking about Bruce the Shark. So yes, that shooting star is truly amazing. You might get to one from the head and the second from the tail at least. Yeah. So then we get to the next day, or rather the noon of that day, because the sun was coming up at the time. And Brody's panic after Bruce's return, I absolutely love it. He's like, "Start the engine." He slides up. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to make a phone call." And so you see freaking Quint just pop right up. And I'm sorry for that. You see a thing. Sorry about that stutter, folks. It doesn't usually happen. But when he pops right up and you see freaking Brody's like, "Hello, Mayday, Orca. And can anybody hear me? Mayday, Orca. We need somebody out here." And you see freaking Quint come in with a bat and bash the radio. And then he's like, "Sorry, or excuse me, Chief. That's great. That's just great. Now where the hell we are? You're certifiable, Quint. You know that? Yeah, you're certifiable, and I'll tell you this." So then we get the second barrel and a third barrel on him. Or the second barrel chase, actually. And then we get him chasing, and also where the revolver noise, where the chief is shooting at Bruce. Well, if you watch the original version of Jaws, with the original audio, with nothing changed, you will hear a difference in the sound of the revolver makes when it fires, compared to the digital, where they made it sound a little different. So then we get them trying to tie the shark up to the stern cleats. One of the cleats actually came off when Hooper got caught, and when he gets up to get out of being caught and he slips down, one of the stern cleats actually came off. So they had to cut, put it back on, and whatnot. So then you see the shark come up and roar when Quint shoots the shark right here, and just under the chin of what the shark would be, his chin. and it gives a roar. Well, they did that for sensational effect because sharks do not have vocal cords. Try explaining that, Epi. So we then get the third barrel, and this shark is proving to be extremely different from other sharks. 2 barrels, he goes down again, and then a third barrel, 3 barrels, he goes down, but then he comes back up, and it's like, oh crap. Then you see the disappearing machete, because while the shark was trying to run, they were trying to hold the cleats on so that Quint would cut it with the machete. So he grabs the machete, and then, well, it's no longer useful, so he throws it down. This machete disappears in another shot. Where it should be, it's no longer there. Sharks don't have vocal cords, but Bruce Almighty does. Yes, apparently he does. So we're getting next to the boat is starting to take on water, and Quint breaks the engine trying to draw Bruce into the shallows. So when that doesn't work and the engine's completely shot, well, they go with the shark cage. Now, the shark cage uses stock footage from Discovery Channel, believe it or not, also as well as other footage where miniature cage and a miniature diver puppet was used, as well as the animatronics and the miniature or real sharks for the miniature cage to make Bruce look big. The underwater shots, this is where the movie got seriously scary, folks. When you see Bruce just smacking into that cage, when you see him trying to get through, and when he starts to get through, it's like, oh my God, this is horrifying. This is where people truly got traumatized. Bruce doesn't have vocal cords, so can't roar. What you can hear is him gargling loudly as he maintains dental hygiene. Jesus Christ. Oh. You mean it's all fake? Yeah. Now, so then we get to Hooper getting out of there and hiding and on the seafloor. And they bring up the cage. It's empty. It's busted up. So they let it drop, and then Bruce jumps on the boat and starts sinking it. And you see Robert Shaw lose his grip from the scuba tank crushing in his hand. And you see him sliding slowly down towards Bruce. Well, suddenly the machete's gone, but then it's back, so he can grab it and try to stab him. And this is where the rubber teeth hint came in, because if you see one shot where he bites down, you actually see the rubber teeth bend inward. Also, Robert Shaw has a cushion underneath him when he's getting swayed back and forth and whatnot. You can actually see the cushion somewhat in Bruce's mouth, so that it wasn't very uncomfortable being in the shark's mouth, you know? Now, also, a difference between the book and the movie was Quint actually tries throwing a net on the shark, and the shark pulls the net along with him into the water where he drowns. So, yeah. Now, we then get to Brody being the last guy. Still rated PG somehow. I know, right? I'm shocked, I tell you. Well, not really. The scenes of the shark caught in the cage was recorded off the west coast of Australia, I believe. I believe it was, because the people that they used to get the underwater shots of the real sharks were based in Australia. And so we then get Bruce crashing in through the cabin, and you see Brody getting ready to smack Bruce with the scuba tank. However, if you look behind Brody, you see that there's a reflection of the water in front of Brody, but no Bruce. So Bruce either is a ghost or he was off when they were doing Brody shots. He was taking a day off. So yeah. I also love how on Bruce's teeth you see the shreds of flesh from Quint after he got eaten. So then he makes it up to the above the engine or the wheel, and he's climbing up the tower of the sail tower of the ship. And Bruce comes in. He's like, "Hug me! I want a hug." Instead, he's getting poked. So then he has to do the sniper shot of "Smile, you son of a bitch," and he ends up shooting the scuba tank. However, and it blows up, blowing up Bruce's head and whatnot. There's just one problem. That doesn't happen in real life. So, yes, the tennis shoe leg would have been handy for removing those chunks of Quint. Yeah. Bruce coming in not like a wrecking ball, but like a Jehovah's Witness. Jesus Christ. Oh, that's nothing. Jaws 3 had an entire human left in his mouth. Yeah, because that was basically like a freaking humongous or like a mini megalodon, for crying out loud. Yes, Mythbusters did it, or did the busting of that myth for Jaws of shooting a pressurized scuba tank, and it didn't blow up. Now, a wonderful thing about the sinking of Bruce, where you see his body sink, and when he goes below the camera, you hear a moaning sound. That was actually a sound used in another movie by Steven Spielberg or was it Stephen King? I can't remember. It was about a truck that was killing people. And as it goes over the edge, you hear the same moaning sound. So then we see that Hooper lived. He comes up, he finds Brody. They talk about Quint, and then they say, "Can we get in on those?" And you see them swimming in, and they play the credits. Now, I love how when they're playing the credits, you see them completely make it to shore and get up. And that's when the credits end. So now we're going to get to the scoring. No, Bruce came in like the Kool-Aid man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, because of the objective errors of this film, and yes, there are objective errors to this film, this movie is about a 7 out of 10. However, this movie does have a great score, great acting, great cast, great cinematography but it does also have the jarring cutting issues. There's a couple of weaker writing spots, but for the most part, this film is a very solid film. It passes. Subjective, I absolutely love Jaws. It gets a full 10 out of 10 for me from a subjective Duel. Yes, Dan Blackroyd. That is right. Duel was the movie. Not Maximum Overdrive. It was Duel. So, yes, Jack of all casuals, definitely Duel. So, yes. Subjectively, this movie gets a 10 out of 10, and moviegoer, I give this movie about a 10 out of 10 because this movie is just that good. Cameron Ryder, good to see you. You're just on the ending of this, buddy. So glad you came by, but you're at the end. Now I'm about to give the hints for next week. And next week will be Tuesday night. I am going back to Tuesdays because Mara has finally made or went back to Wednesday nights. She's streaming right now, I do believe. Or she might have stopped. Who knows? But yes, Mara Jade is finally doing Cringe Factory on Wednesday nights again. So yes. So the hints for the next movies are 20:7 and Robin Tooney. If you know it, don't spoil it. So yes, 27 and Robin Tooney are your hints for next week. It will be Tuesday night instead of Friday or Wednesday night. Stay tuned for this Friday. I am still looking for a panel for people who want to join to talk about the Assassin's Creed film. I have a theme going on for my Friday night discussion films. So hopefully you all will be able to join.
You're going to the Shadow Realm. Yeah. So, yes, if you can guess, I'm pretty sure Epime will guess after I give him the hints in full context. So, anyway, yes, 20:7 and Robin Tunney. Those are your hints. Thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.